Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a question that, well, it's resonated through concert halls and history books for centuries. What truly defines musical genius? Is it just born talent, you know, or maybe relentless training? Or is it shaped by the crucible of life's experiences?
It's a fascinating question.
It really is. And we're setting off on an exploration into the extraordinary lives of two absolute titans of classical music, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Ludwig van Beethoven. Their legacies, they still shape how we understand genius itself.
Absolutely. Two giants.
Right. And our listener, a learner, has provided us with a stack of fascinating sources on these composers. So our mission today is clear. We'll unpack their remarkably parallel journeys, but also their powerfully divergent paths.
Parallel and divergent. That's a good way to put it.
We're not just going to tell you what they achieved, but really dig into how their lives, their triumphs, their tragedies profoundly shaped the immortal music they left behind. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding the essence of their art.
It's a truly compelling pairing, because while both composers emerged from musical family, their early environments and their subsequent personal battles really forged them into very different artists, created very distinct narratives.
Absolutely. So let's begin at the very beginning. The early years of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He was born Johannes Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. Quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
In Salzburg, 1756. He later preferred Wolfgang Amadeus, taking Amadeus from the Latin translation of Theophilus.
Right. Loved by God.
And his father, Leopold Mozart, a talented violinist and composer himself, was absolutely pivotal in shaping his son's destiny. Leopold became deputy Kapellmeister, sort of the assistant music director at court.
A pretty significant position.
Exactly. And significantly, in the very year Wolfgang was born, he published this influential textbook for young violinists.
Yeah, Leopold's role was much more than just being a dad. He was a strategist, a demanding teacher, a relentless promoter, really. He saw something extraordinary in Wolfgang, something he was determined to cultivate and, frankly, show off to the world.
And you see that so early. A truly pivotal moment arrived when Wolfgang was just 3 years old.
Incredible.
He watched his oldest sister, Nannerl, learn the clavier, an early keyboard, and the sources say he then started teaching himself from her exercise book. Just picked it up.
Amazing.
Leopold quickly recognized this, quote, unusual talent and began teaching him organ and violin too. Can you imagine witnessing that?
Yeah.
That spontaneous drive at such a tender age?
It really speaks to an almost instinctive connection with music, doesn't it? There's this one remarkable anecdote. Wolfgang is 6 years old, begging to play second violin in a string trio.
At 6?
Yeah. His father initially dismissed him, if you haven't learned this properly, but with a friend's encouragement, Wolfgang apparently not only sight-read, but played all 6 trios perfectly. Yeah, even adapting with an unorthodox technique because his hands were so small. And at the same edge, he claimed he was composing a clavier concerto. Leopold looked at it and found it too difficult, but also well-written. It's just an astonishing level of precocity.
Incredible. And these earliest compositions, we know them by their Köchel catalog numbers, K1A, 1B, 1C, already hinting at the sheer volume to come.
Right.
And Leopold, well, he wasn't one to keep this talent hidden, was he? Starting in 1762, Wolfgang's only 6, he starts these extensive European tours with his children.
The Grand Tour.
Exactly. They charmed powerful rulers like Elector Maximilian III in Munich. In Vienna, there's that famous story where Wolfgang ran to Maria Theresa, jumped on her lap, and kissed the empress repeatedly at Schönbrunn Palace.
He must have been quite the charmer. But this relentless early exposure, while it built incredible skill, it also came at a cost.
Actually.
Maria Theresa, while charmed, later expressed concern that Leopold was putting too much pressure on Wolfgang, especially after the boy got seriously ill, maybe smallpox, scarlet.
Right.
These tours were incredible. Wolfgang had 2 serious bouts of illness during them, which just underscores the physical toll of that schedule.
Yeah, that long grand tour from 1763 to 1766, it took them everywhere. Frankfurt, where a teenage Goethe saw him, apparently Brussels, Paris, playing for King Louis XV and Madame de Pompadour.
High society.
Totally.
Cool.
Then London for King George III and Queen Charlotte. Wolfgang even played the keyboard blindfolded as a party trick.
Showing off a bit.
Must have been. He composed 6 sonatas for piano and violin in England, dedicated one to Queen Charlotte. Pretty mature stuff for a kid.
And all this touring meant his formal schooling was, patchy at best. Yeah. So Leopold homeschooled him in other subjects, math, languages, history, geography.
Trying to round him out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But his musical genius was just undeniable. There's that great story about Archbishop Sigmund of Salzburg. He was skeptical, thought Leopold might be exaggerating Wolfgang's composing skills.
Understandable, maybe.
So he puts the 11-year-old Wolfgang to the test, locks him in a room for a week just a libretter.
A week at 11.
Wolfgang emerges with 18 arias and recitals the solo songs and sung dialogue for an opera for Die Schuldigkeit des ersten Gebots.
Wow, that's proving a point.
Isn't it? And soon after, he wrote his first actual opera, Apollo at Highest. He also had a lucky escape, surviving a severe case of smallpox in Vienna in 1767. Left him temporarily blind for 9 days, but he made a full recovery.
Close call.
Very. His first Italian tour, 1769 to 1771, was a massive triumph. At just 14, he's commissioned to write Mithridate Pontiff.
At 14.
And he even received the Order of a Golden Spur from Pope Clement XIV. By age 15, 1772, he's appointed concertmeister back in Salzburg. A paid gig, 150 florins a year. Pretty good for a teenager then.
Okay, so Mozart's story is this, phenomenon. A child prodigy, meticulously groomed, showcased, almost like a divine gift revealed early.
Exactly. Now let's pivot to Beethoven. You'll find a really striking contrast. Born in Bonn, Germany, most likely December 16, 1770. He also came from a musical family. His grandfather, Ludwig, was a respected Kapellmeister. His father, Johann, was a singer at the court, so music was in the blood.
Right, but this is where those narratives really diverge sharply, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. While Leopold Mozart, demanding as he was, seems to have been ultimately nurturing, Johann Beethoven's teaching methods were, well, brutal.
That's what the sources say.
Yeah, reports of beating his son or locking him in the cellar if he made mistakes, which, unsurprisingly fostered a kind of emotional detachment in young Ludwig.
Terrible. And he had other tough teachers, too.
Right, like Tobias Pfeiffer, an insomniac, apparently, who'd drag him out of bed for late-night lessons. Not exactly nurturing.
Not at all. And his debut wasn't like Mozart's.
No, his public debut in Cologne at age 7, though his dad advertised him as 6, probably trying to copy the Mozart hype, it drew little attention. Another stark contrast. He struggled with basic reading and math in school, but the musical promise was there. He was clearly writing music by age 10.
So who helped him then?
He found a really crucial mentor in Christian Gottlob, court organist. Neef introduced him to Bach's well-tempered clavier, which was huge.
Okay. Foundational.
Exactly. And Neef quickly saw Beethoven's talent, even noting it could rival that of Mozart. Big.
Wow.
By age 11, Beethoven was already deputizing for Neef on the organ. His first published composition, some piano variations, came out when he was 12.
Okay, so the talent was definitely there, just a harder path.
Much harder. He got his first paid gig in The Hague at 13, earned 63 florins, and by 1784, he's formally appointed assistant court organist.
That sounds like progress.
It was, but it was more than just music. It basically enabled him to support his family because his father's alcoholism was getting worse. Think about that immense responsibility on a young teenager.
Yeah, that's a heavy burden. And he tried to go study with Mozart.
He did. His first trip to Vienna was in 1787, specifically planned by the Elector Max Franz for him to study under Mozart.
Imagine that meeting.
Well, it was cut tragically short. After just about 2 weeks, he had to rush back to Bonn because his mother was seriously ill. She died soon after at only 40, and that loss just devastated the 16-year-old Beethoven.
Terrible timing.
Really terrible. But what's compelling here is the role of the Brüning family back in Bonn. They gave him crucial emotional support, sort of took him in, and provided an informal education too. Exposed him to literature, history, science, and even Schiller's Ode to Joy.
Ah, the Ode to Joy. So he knew it way back then.
Yeah, planting a seed that would blossom decades. By 19, in 1789, he was effectively the head of the household, financially responsible for his father and younger brothers, even receiving part of his father's pension directly.
Incredible pressure.
Right.
So we see these two really different foundations for genius, don't we? Mozart, the seemingly effortless prodigy, nurtured, pushed, globally showcased.
Right, polished from day one.
And then Beethoven, struggling, burdened by family responsibility, a difficult father, finding his way through adversity. That difference really has to inform their later paths, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As they both end up in Vienna.
Absolutely. Vienna was the musical capital of Europe. And for both of them, it became this battleground, full of opportunity, but also profound personal struggle.
Mozart made a really bold move in 1781. He basically broke ties with Archbishop Colloredo, his employer in Salzburg, whom he found tyrannical.
Yeah, he hated the constraint.
He apparently resented living in the same building and keep to sit below the valets at lunch. He felt it.
And this wasn't just, a personal spat. It was a radical career move. He was essentially going freelance.
Unheard of, really.
Pretty much. Composers were usually tied to a court or the church. This defined his independent spirit. And then he married Constanze Weber in 1782, even though his father, Leopold, initially more independence.
And did it work out professionally?
Oh, yeah. His career took off immediately with the abduction from the Seraglio in 1782. It cemented his reputation as Vienna's hot new composer.
Right. And then came the symphonies.
Yes. The Hafner Symphony, number 35, and the Linz, number 36, which he famously wrote in just 4 days.
4 days? That's insane.
Right. By 1784, he was making good money, around 4,000 florins a year. But he also had expensive tastes and overly grand lifestyle trying to keep up with aristocratic fashions, so debt started piling.
Ah, the classic artist's dilemma.
Sort of. Oh. He also joined the Freemasons in 1784, which was pretty common then for ambitious men looking for connections and, a bit of Enlightenment philosophy.
And then came that amazing endorsement from Haydn.
Yes. 1785. Joseph Haydn, the greatest living composer at the time, told Leopold Mozart, "Before God and as an honest man, I tell you that your son is the greatest composer known."
Incredible validation from Haydn himself.
Absolutely huge. And then Mozart starts his amazing collaborations with the librettist Lorenzo da Ponte.
The da Ponte operas.
Exactly. The Marriage of Figaro in 1786. It had this subversive plot, with thinly veiled criticisms of the aristocracy.
A bit risky.
A bit. But it was an instant smash hit in Vienna and especially Prague. Then came Don Giovanni in 1787, that dark comedy where the lead gets dragged to hell, premiered in Prague to magnificent triumph.
He was really on a roll.
Professionally, yes, but personally, tragedy kept hitting. His father, Leopold, died in 1787, and Wolfgang and Constanza lost multiple children in infancy, which must have been heartbreaking.
Devastating.
He got appointed imperial composer in 1787, but it was sort of a part-time ceremonial thing, didn't really solve his ongoing money problem. Then, 1788, incredibly, he composes his final 3 symphonies, bang, 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 numbers 39, 40, the famous great G minor, and 41, Jupiter.
In 1 year.
In quick succession, yeah. Each one pushing the symphony form into new territory, emotionally instructive, just staggering.
But the money issues continued.
Yeah, they persisted. A tour in 1789 was largely unsuccessful. He did another opera with Da Ponte in 1790. Then his final year, 1790, incredible activity.
A final flurry.
Total. He got appointed assistant Kapellmeister at St. Stephen's Cathedral. The Magic Flute premiered in September. Huge success, full of Masonic ideas. He got that mysterious commission for a Requiem Mass.
Ah, yes, the Requiem story.
Later found out it was a Count Walsegg who planned to pass it off as his own composition.
Cheeky.
And he also wrote La Clemenza di Tito for Emperor Sexcorn, Relentless.
Which brings us to that crucial and still kind of debated point. Why did he die so young?
Exactly. His health just rapidly declined in late 1791. There were suspicions of poisoning, that fabled poison Aquitana, which later inspired Pushkin in the play and film Amadeus.
Right, the Salieri rivalry.
Mostly myth, yeah. He died December 5, 1791. Only 35 years old, leaving the Requiem unfinished. The actual cause, still debated. Could have been tonsillitis, kidney failure, maybe a brain hemorrhage, pneumonia. Just don't know for sure. Adds to the whole tragedy and mystery.
A tragic, enigmatic end for someone who's shone so brightly, so brief. Okay, let's turn back to Beethoven now and his journey in Vienna. It was equally dramatic, but so different.
Very different. He moved there for good in 1792, planning to study with Haydn.
Did they work out better this time?
Well, he apparently found Haydn inadequate for teaching counterpoint, the complex art of weaving melodies together, but he definitely learned a lot about composition overall from master.
And he made a name for himself quickly.
Oh, yes. He established himself as a stunning piano virtuoso. His improvisations were legendary. That's how he gained powerful aristocratic patrons. Prince Lichnowsky, Prince Lobkowitz, Archduke Rudolph, they supported him.
And this is all happening against the backdrop of what? Revolution. War.
Yeah, exactly. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars. It was a really tumultuous era. Beethoven initially admired Bonaparte, saw him as a hero of the revolution.
Interesting. His Vienna debut as a composer was in 1795 with his Piano Concerto No. 1. But then came a Deafness.
Yeah. The personal tragedy that would define him, it started insidiously around 1790.
How did he react?
By 1801, he wrote to a friend admitting his hearing had been getting worse for 3 years. He suffered from terrible tinnitus, ringing in the ear. It led to him becoming more isolated, avoiding social gatherings.
I understand that.
There's that heartbreaking story from 1802. He's out in the countryside in Heiligenstadt, and he can't hear a shepherd's pipe playing in the distance, even though his student, Ferdinand Reyes, hears it perfectly clearly. Just devastating confirmation.
Thank God for a musician. That must have been terrifying. Utter despair.
It was. In October 1802, he wrote the Heiligenstadt Test. It's this incredibly powerful, emotional letter to his brothers. He admits his deafness, talks about contemplating suicide.
Oh.
But crucially, in this moment of deep despair, he finds this incredible resolve. He dedicates himself to art. He chooses life, chooses music, over despair. It's a testament to his unbelievable will.
That is truly heroic.
And what's fascinating here is how this deafness changed everything. It didn't just stop him hearing. It fundamentally reshaped how he composed He had to rely more and more on his inner ear. He learned to compose by remembering sounds, feeling vibrations through the piano, apparently sometimes even gripping a pencil in his teeth and touch. He trained his body, his mind, to hear internally.
Wow.
And this forced reliance on an internal sound world, it arguably pushed him to break rules, to explore harmonies and structures that were completely maybe even contributed to the violent nature of some of these, one source puts it. He was creating a new musical language almost out of silence.
So composing not despite deafness, but almost because of it, in a way.
In many ways, yeah. It unlocks something new, something radical. And this profound struggle really fueled his heroic period, roughly 1803 to 1812. Both his personal battles and the revolutionary spirit have fed into it.
And the Third Symphony, the Eroica, comes right out of this?
Exactly. He started it in 1803, originally called Bonaparte. It was conceived on a scale grander than any symphony.
But then Napoleon crowned himself emperor.
Right. In 1804, Beethoven was apparently furious. He saw it as a total betrayal of revolutionary ideas. Legend has it he furiously scratched out Bonaparte from the title page so hard he tore the...
Really?
That's the story. He rededicated it, Eroica, Heroic, a symphony to honor the memory of a great man.
Incredible story. And his opera.
Fidelio, his only opera, premiered in 1805. It's about a woman disguising herself as a man to rescue her husband from political prison. Themes of freedom, justice, marital love. It had a rough start, poor reception initially, but he revised it later.
Okay. And the Fifth Symphony. Everyone knows that one.
The Fifth, yeah. Composed around 1808. That iconic Luda-Duda-D-U-H opening. Fate knocking at the door, maybe? Pure drama.
Definitely. Now, there was something about him getting offered a job elsewhere.
Yeah. Napoleon's brother, Jerome Bonaparte, who was king of Westphalia, offered Beethoven a Kapellmeister position there.
Tempting.
Maybe, but Beethoven was clever. He basically used that offer as leverage. He got 3 of his main Viennese patrons, Archduke Rudolph, Prince Lobkowitz, Prince Kinsky, to guarantee him an annuity, 4,000 florins a year just to stay in Vienna.
Smart move. Secured his independence.
Exactly. Allowed him to compose what he wanted when he wanted most. Then came the Piano Concerto No. 5, the 1809, dedicated to Archduke. Very grand, almost militaristic, some say. And the 7th and 8th symphonies followed in 1812. Sustained.
But his personal life was still messy.
Oh, yeah. Lots of turmoil. Unrequited love affairs, Carice Malfatti, maybe the dedicative, Antonio Brentano, who many believe was his mysterious, immortal beloved.
The immortal beloved letter. Still a mystery.
Still debated, yeah. He also had fiery arguments with his brothers, with friends. He wasn't an easy man to get along with, especially as his deafness increased his isolation and suspicion.
And then the custody battle?
Yes, a really difficult chapter. After his brother Caspar died in 1815, Beethoven got into this prolonged, bitter legal fight with his sister-in-law, Johanna, for custody of his nephew, Karl.
Why does he do that?
He seemed to genuinely want to give Karl a better upbringing, maybe protect him from his mother, whom Beethoven distrusted intensely. But the whole affair was incredibly draining, emotionally and financially, and it really distracted him from composing for several years.
So these struggles, the deafness, the personal conflicts, they all feed into his later work.
They define it, pushing his music into even more profound, complex, and sometimes really challenging territory. It's quite a journey.
Truly astonishing. Okay, let's move into the final phase then. The zenith of their creativity, maybe, and their final notes, Beethoven. Despite being almost completely deaf, dealing with all this personal stuff, he had this incredible late surge of creativity, didn't he?
He really did. From about 1818 until his death in 1827. It's just a testament to his an unbelievable period.
What came out of this period?
Some of his absolute greatest, most monumental works. Hammerklavier Sonata in 1818, still one of the most technically demanding and profound ever.
Right.
Then the Missa Solemnis, the great mass he worked on, 1819. It was driven by spiritual exploration, maybe beyond just standard. From the heart may it return to the heart.
Powerful.
And the Diabelli Variations in 1823. He takes this really simple little waltz theme by the publisher Diabelli and spins it into 33 very creative, huge, intricate musical, pure genius.
And then the big one, the ninth.
The ninth, premiered in 1824. Huge event, thunderous applause. And there's that incredibly poignant detail from the premiere.
He couldn't hear the applause.
Exactly. He was standing on stage, conducting alongside the official conductor, but he was almost totally deaf. After the piece finished, one of the solo singers, the alto Caroline Unger, apparently had to gently turn him around so he could see the audience cheering and waving handkerchiefs. He couldn't hear their ovation.
Oh, it just gets me every time. So moving.
It really is. And the ninth itself was revolutionary, bringing in Schiller's Ode to Joy in the final movement, With solo singers and a full choir that had never really been done in a symphony before, it transformed the genre into this huge celebration of humanity, brotherhood, joy.
Truly groundbreaking.
And after that,
the late string quartets, composed between 1824 and 1826. Many musicians and critics consider these the absolute pinnacle of Western instrumental music.
Deservedly so. They push harmony, structure, expression to the absolute limit. They're complex, deeply introspective, sometimes challenging, but incredibly rewarding. His personal favorite was apparently number 14 in C-sharp minor. He also wrote the original finale for number 13, which was so massive and complex his publisher asked for a replacement. That original finale became the standalone Gres Fuge, the Great Fugue.
An amazing final burst.
Phenomenal output, all while battling deafness and ill health. His last months were really tough. Pneumonia, pleurisy, dropsy, that painful swelling. He had multiple abdominal taps to drain fluid. His nephew Carl attempted suicide, which caused Beethoven immense grief.
Just tragedy upon tragedy.
Yeah, there's a story, maybe apocryphal, that shortly before he died, someone sent him a case of wine, and he supposedly remarked, "Pity, pity too late."
Oh, heartbreaking.
He died on March 26, 1827, aged 50. One account describes a violent thunderstorm raging outside as he lay dying. Apparently, there was a flash of lightning, a huge clap of thunder, and Beethoven suddenly lifted his fist towards the heavens before falling back, dead. A dramatic end for a truly heroic figure.
Wow. What an image. Now, let's just briefly circle back to Mozart's end. Much earlier, much more sudden.
Right. That intense workload in the 1780s, and especially that final year, 1791, it seems clear it left him exhausted and ill, just as Maria Theresa had worried about all those years before with the childhood tour.
It seems like it finally caught up with him.
It really seems that way. While that final year produced masterpieces like The Magic Flute and La Clemenza di Tito, his sudden decline and death on December 5, 1791, at only 35, and leaving the Requiem it just amplifies the sense of missed tragedy.
What might have been.
Exactly. What more could he have given us if he'd lived another 20 years, like Beethoven? The fragments of the Requiem, which his student Susmer completed, they stand as this incredibly poignant symbol of genius cut short. You just wonder about the sublime music that remained
Yeah. There you have. We've journeyed with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the dazzling child prodigy who charmed king, then redefined opera, before his life was tragically cut short, leaving his final masterpiece unfinished.
A brilliant flame extinguished too.
And Ludwig van Beethoven, whose profound deafness became not an end, but a catalyst, forging him into a composer of unparalleled heroic ambition, transforming suffering into sublime, world-changing art.
A titan who conquered fate.
Both faced enormous challenges, personal, financial, physical, yet they gifted the world these timeless masterpieces that, while they still resonate, still challenge us today.
Their stories really remind us that genius isn't just one thing, is it? It's not merely a gift dropped from heaven. It's this complex mix of talent, yes, but also circumstance, relentless hard work, and sometimes an almost unbelievable will to create, even when facing unimaginable adversity.
So maybe the next time you listen to Mozart or Beethoven, think beyond just the beautiful or powerful notes. Consider the incredible human stories pulsing behind them. Does the sheer brevity of Mozart's life make his astonishing output seem even more miraculous, like a fleeting comet of pure brilliance? Or does Beethoven's triumph over his devastating deafness speak to a different kind of genius? Perhaps even deeper, forged in the fire of silence and struggle.
It's a great question to ponder.
Their music continues to challenge and inspire us. It reminds us that even when faced with immense adversity or just not enough time, the human spirit can create something truly, truly immortal. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.